Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today we're going to be adding decimals. And in order to add decimals, we're going to have to change our denominator of 10 and we're going to change it to 100. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And that's because you cannot add fractions that have different denominators or different size pieces. Okay, so as a visual, what we see here is tenths, and right here on this grid we see hundredths. So what we're asking ourselves, in order to change 3/10, okay, to a denominator of 100, all we have to do is understand that tenths and hundredths, right, are so connected, very, very similar. You can see that each bar of the hundredths, right, even though it has little tiny cubes in there, is the same size as the bar in the tenths. Okay, so if you have a fraction with a denominator of 10 and you want to change it to 100, just ask yourselves, how many tens are inside each one of these bars? And there's 10 little tiny cubes in each one of these bars. Okay, and so if you have 10, count the second one, 20, and the third one, you have 30. So 3/10 is the same thing as 31/100. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing today when we are adding decimals. Okay, we're using place value to help us add decimals. So here we have 5/10 and 1/100. Okay, for right now we can just set 1/100 aside, and we need to work with 5/10 as we need to change 5/10 into a fraction with 100 as a denominator. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 5 of these out of 10 are highlighted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll highlight those. Okay, so what that is equal to is 5/10, right? 5 out of the 10 bars are shaded. Now we can ask ourselves, we want to change this to 100s. And in order to do so, we just need to ask ourselves, how many little tiny cubes are in each one of the 10 bars? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and there are 10 little cubes in each one of these bars. And so here, in order to change 5/10, we just add to a fraction with a denominator of 100, we ask ourselves, how many tens are in each one of these 5 bars? We have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 100s. Okay, let's look at number 2. Oh, sorry. Now let's add. How about that? 50 100s plus 1 100, not 1 1,000ths, equals 51 100ths, or 0.51. Okay? You have the decimal form of 51 100ths and you have the fraction form of 51 100ths. Okay? All right, let's look at number 2. We have 7/10 and 13 100ths. Now, again, we can set 13 100ths aside for just one moment, and let's concentrate on the 7/10 as we want to change that to a fraction with a denominator of 100. Okay, so if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 bars. 7 of them are shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. have 7 tenths. Right? Okay. But to change that into a denominator of 100, maybe you can see the pattern, but all we're doing is adding a 0 to the numerator and to the denominator. Okay. So if we ask ourselves, if we want to take this chart here and we want to imagine that this is in hundreds, we'd have to imagine that there are 10 cubes in each one of these 10 bars, right? Because then we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 by the end if we have 10 little cubes in there. But if we want to convert 7 tenths to a fraction over 100, we're just going to do it until we get to 7. So then we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 little tiny cubes out of 100 cubes. Okay? Or 70 100ths. And again, we just added a 0 to the numerator as well as to the denominator. And now we can add 70 100ths plus 13 100ths equals 83 100ths, or 0.83. Okay? Each one of these, 83 100ths or 83 100ths, says the same exact thing. All right? Okay, so please send emails if you have questions, but this is all we are doing today. We are adding fractions. We are adding fractions and decimals by changing a fraction that has a denominator of 10 to a fraction of 100 by imagining that your 10 bars have 10 cubes in each one of them, and skip counting by 10 until you get to the appropriate shaded amount. In this case, it was 7 tenths, and you ended up at 70 100ths. All right, take care.